Hello guys, and thank you for joining me. A couple of weeks back I was talking about an idea on how to try and rescue vintage fountain pens or fountain pens that are no longer built and it's very hard to find parts for. In that video I was talking specifically about this vintage fountain pen, a recorder lever filler. And I was mentioning that this fountain pen had a lot of issues when I got it, and it was hard to, and still is hard to find parts for it. As such, I decided to try and build parts for it using 3D printing. I'll link the video here if you want to go and follow it up. If not, I'll just basically go into giving a quick update. So the idea is that this fountain pen came with broken nib, broken section, rusted out J-bar, and pretty much unusable. Even the parts, while not looking in their best condition, at least they were usable. What I tried was just build a 3D part. I 3D printed a part using an extruder printer, and everything seemed to be fine. However, extrusion has its own minuses. I decided to go with MSLA printer at that time, and I've been spending the last couple of weeks trying to learn how to use it. And finally, I think I have some good results that give me hope, and I'll most probably continue on this with this experiment and see what it's gonna go at. And just to prove it, I actually managed to build the parts. I rebuilt basically the section for this fountain pen, and while I was rebuilding it, I decided to make it better. The old one basically was just a tube where you press fitted the nib and the feed anywhere you like it, and you can only go, well, as far as you can push it basically. On the new sections that I did some measurements, and I basically created cutouts specifically for the feed and for the nib. And I used this semi-transparent gray material, and as you can probably see, you can see the cutoff for the nib right there through the section, and this dark portion is basically the flat bottom for the number 5. Now, while I was building this, basically, I used the D-like fountain pen that had a different feed than the feed that I had on the fountain pen and the section that I previously created. And when I tried to transfer the feed and in the new section, I realized that actually the feed that I had on the pen doesn't fit anymore. And that's when I come to the realization that not all number 5 feeds are the same. And some are thicker, some are thinner. And going back to the D-like feed, this one actually fitted in perfectly, including the nib. Like perfect fit, perfect alignment, and everything you basically want. Now you can see better the cutoff for the actual nib and the bottom of the feed. And I didn't really wanted to use the D-like feed and nib that I had, so I basically created two sections that takes both feeds, and it works very well actually. And if I try, well, I had to mark them as plus and minus in order to keep track of which one is which. It's very hard to tell which one is which because the differences are very, very small. And if you put the D-like feed in here, it's actually a little bit jiggly, and you can put the nib in, but it doesn't really stay. It's actually falling down. So while the differences are not visible by naked eye, they're definitely there. And going back to the feed and the nib that I had on the record fountain pen, this one works perfectly as well. I haven't tested them yet to see how they write, but if you look inside, you can also see that the feed is nipple, it's pretty much out there. It's a little bit more out than it should be, but that should not impede it from working properly. I have ordered a new sack, and once I receive it, I will actually put it together, and I will try out the new thing to see how it works. But either way, the nib and the feed now are a much better fit. The part it's already watertight. I don't have to dip it in anything in order to seal it. It's already working as it should. I already tested with water to make sure it holds water, and it does without an issue. So yeah, I mean, another thing that I've done, I had this J-bar that I 3D printed. I decided to reprint it in resin as well, and this is the J-bar that I have. One thing that I noticed with these, because they're plastic, the metal on the lever will scratch the plastic eventually. I don't know how long it will last, but I'm willing to test it out on this and see how it will hold up. One idea that I had when, if you really want to build this, what you can do from a Coke can or something like that, you basically can cut a small metal strip and glue it on the back of this J-bar, and that will basically prevent the bar from this forgot my words, the bar from the barrel to scratch or maybe eventually break basically the plastic part. I don't know how well it will hold up. For now, I'm not gonna do that, but that was an idea for you if you want to try it out. Myself, I'm gonna use it as is for now, just to see how it will stand up. I mean, if it's gonna stand up for a couple of years, that's perfect. That's pretty much in time to replace the new the stack anyway. I'll come back and let you know if I have any issues in time. This might take a while. So in a nutshell, it works. I mean, I hope it works. I'm still waiting for the new sack, but based on the water test that I've done, this seems to work just fine. And I'm looking forward to receive the sack and give it a full test. I'll make an update at that time to tell you how things have worked out or not. In the meantime, this goes back on the shell, and can't wait to test it out properly. But I did not stop there, to be honest. There's one more thing that I have done. Let me put this away. Now, a couple of a year back or something like that, not a couple, I guess you could say a couple of months back, I bought Montblanc 320 fountain pen. That goes into a bigger story. I'm not gonna say it here, but suffice to say, what I end up with, it's 3 fountain pens that were marked sold as is, and I managed to save the other 2. Like, they were just basically uncared for, and they were in very bad shape. But I managed to save them, clean them, and actually they're in perfect condition almost. Unfortunately, the third one, it wasn't in such a great condition. First of all, it was basically baked in ink and all kind of ink, and it took a while to actually remove the entire ink by soaking and by ultrasonic. And as I was getting rid of the the ink, things started to appear, like he has the missing snowflake on the cap for the piston. At the same time, this cap, it's in a very bad shape, as in it's pretty much gone. You'll have to replace the entire part, and that will cost you a little bit. Fortunately, the cap and the clip are in good condition, and so that's one bad part. The other bad part, it's, well, not bad, but more aesthetically not that pleasing, is the ring or the ink for the ink window. It's in a very rough shape. You'll probably be able to polish it, but I thought that maybe it's easier to just recreate the part. The trick with this one is that it has the spring mounted on the ring, and that's what actually catches on the lip of the inside of the cap and secures the pen to the cap. The other thing that this had issues with, as you'll probably see, no matter how much I turn the piston doesn't actually come down. That's because this is supposed to have a sleeve at the end to fix, to hold this fixing position while this cap will drive the piston up and down. Unfortunately, that part was missing as well. So basically, oh, and the last part that it was really quite bad actually, the feed. I don't have the tool to remove the feed right now next to me, but basically what happened is when you remove the feed from this section, you have to do it by either pushing down something thin like a metal rod and basically push the feed out, or maybe use some tweezers to grab it by the nipple and pull it out. The problem is you have to be extra careful how you do this. If basically the section has never been washed or they used improper ink into it, that feed will be kind of sort of glued to the inside of the section. So if you're trying to push that feed out, let me try and find the tool that I need, and I'll be right back. Give me a second. Okay, I am back. Sorry about this. I couldn't find the tool, but I realized that this works just as well. So basically you just have to push this very gently. If it doesn't come out gently, don't force it. Otherwise, you're gonna ruin the feed. And somebody before me did just that, and that's exactly what happened. So feed has to come out very smoothly. And once it comes out, once I was able to remove the feed, I realized that this feed is broken basically. Like right there in the front is supposed to be another fin on this feed, and because that is missing now, when I tried to ink it, a lot of ink was pretty much gushing out. It was blobbing under the nib, and as you write, it was just dripping all over the place. So this feed basically no bueno, as they say. So yeah, pretty much 4 major defects on this fountain pen. Now, obviously for this specific fountain pen, for the 320, you can still find parts. However, when you find them, they tend to be quite expensive, to the point that it will actually be more. If you buy all the parts to put this pen together, it will cost you more than you will buy one that is been refurbished and that it's in good condition. And that kind of killed the buzz. And I decided to try and rescue this fountain pen as well if I can. So basically try and build 4 parts for it. Now I went ahead and I tried just that, and I managed to build 2 of the simpler parts for now, just to get a hang of it. And I used the 2 fountain pens that I have in good condition as templates for these parts. it was a little bit harsh to actually build the parts and take the measurements. I do have calipers and all that, but I don't have like extremely high precision caliper. And some measurements sometimes might be just slightly off, but enough to be an annoyance. For example, some parts fit with a precision of zero point 0 something millimeters, and it can be quite frustrating. I did a couple of tries, and wow, I have quite a few of them that I gather over the time, as you can see in here, like a lot of rings and a lot of sleeves that they just didn't turn out great. But eventually I managed to pull something that actually works, and I keep on repeating the process, and it actually works very well. As you will see, this part fits over the piston and into the inside section, and that's what basically keeps the piston from turning around and guides it up and down as you drive this, something like this. And that was, for me, was quite excited. This part works very well. And the other thing was the ring. Basically, you have to take off the spring from here. Put it in here. It has some grooves. And it works out just perfect. Now, on the original ring, you have some inside facets that I didn't actually create it. I kept it smooth because I like that this material actually, the way it prints, it kind of creates its own grooves, vertical grooves, depending on how you print it. And it kind of gives you that macrolon, I'm not sure if how to pronounce it right, but it has that nice brushed effect, and I like it. And I decided not to create more facets on it. You can actually sand down this and make it more clear if that's what you want. Personally, I like it like that, and to save time, I just keep it like that. And this part as well fits very well over the inside section, barrel, or whatever this is called, housing for the piston. And then the section works very nicely on it and matches up quite nicely. And before putting the piston back together, I actually wanted to put some silicone on it. And on this. Yeah, my hands are gonna get a little bit okay. A little bit on this as well. And I think I'll add a little bit more inside here. Not much, just enough to help this glide a little bit better. Now, how do you put this together? First of all, you'll see that this has some grooves on the outside, and this has to match some basically fins on the inside of this barrel. Probably hard to show it, they're very thin, but trust me, they're there. And you have to make sure that this basically it's all the way down there. And I think I just did that. This has to go about E much. Has to be around 3.1 millimeters between the cap and the barrel. And then try to find this. And you drive it home. And that's it. Then the other thing is just put it on Okay, so if it doesn't match up, that means that that sleeve is not all the way down. Let me fix that and I'll be right back. Might take me a couple of tries to get it right. Okay, and I am back. I managed to get it right. Of course, he had to follow me. I mean, he had to stop working properly as I was demonstrating it. Anyway, once you get those fins parts installed properly, the sleeve it sits in on those fins, and then you drive in the piston all the way. You could just basically screw this on it. And that's it, your piston should work. Will probably hard to see. Oh, you sort of see the shading there. A little bit. Sort of, maybe. Hopefully will show in the video. And the piston goes up and down. So, basically, I managed to recover some part of this fountain pen. And I'm planning to actually finish this and completely fully rebuild it. The hardest parts that I'll have to build, it's the actual feed. I mean, that's fairly thin and complicated to print. I'll have to figure out a way on how to print this part. I mean, you also have the channel, which is very small, and the slits that he has. So this will be a very challenging part. It will take me probably a couple of tries, but I'll do my best and try and make sure I'll build something. The good part is I already have the feeds from the other fountain pens, and I can use them as guides. Takeaway for you if you're trying to basically refurbish one of those fountain pens, pay very extra attention on how you remove the feed. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with this kind of mess, which is unfortunate, but hopefully I will be able to redo it. And the other thing that it's a little bit of a challenge, because it will be hard to measure the insides of it, it's to rebuild the cap. I'm planning to make the cap. I know people out there that are very, into these fountain pens and they collect them. They'll be like, oh, what the hell you're doing? But please keep in mind that what I'm doing is non-intrusive. I'm not damaging the good parts that are already on the fountain pen. I'm just trying to rescue it by building parts for it. And if in time you would want, you'll and find the parts at good prices or whatever, you can always put the original parts on, because I'm not actually damaging anything on the original pen. I'm just building parts around the pen. Anyway, probably again, like usual, for me, not a long video. As you probably noticed, I'm posting this on a Wednesday, and I think I'm gonna keep these videos for Wednesdays, because I probably it's a good idea to keep them separate from the reviews that I do. And at the same time, these videos are not gonna be basically weekly. I'm not sure how often I'm gonna do them. I'll make updates as I go through. 3D printing takes a lot of time and effort to build the parts, measure the parts, and then print, test, and then reprint, and so on and so forth. So that for me takes a lot of time, and I'll be honest, this is not basically my job. I do this for fun because I enjoy it, but I don't have, unfortunately, that much time to spend on them. So these kind of videos I'll be maybe once a month or something like that. But I'll update with stories and parts for those that are interested, and I like sharing this. Oh yeah, and before leaving, I just wanted to let you know that all these parts that I have done for this fountain pen, and for this fountain pen, I'm gonna put them on my account on Thingiverse for everyone to download and use as they want. And by as they want, please keep in mind, the whole intent for this is to make parts for pens for people to use for free, trying to, make it fun. I'm not trying to make money out of this, and I'm hoping people are not gonna 3D part these parts just to make money out of them. This is for free basically. And everything that I'll be doing in this videos, I will try and make them available for free. For the sections, feel free to use the included FreeCAD file as well. I think I'll be able to do that. I hope Thingiverse let me do it. Anyway, when you download the files, if it comes in a zip, you'll have both files for both feeds. Feel free to modify them as you want, but if you want to keep on using the number file, try and don't modify the inside of the sketch. Only modify the outside of the sketch to fit your pen and your needs, right? Otherwise, if you're going to play around with the inside of the sketch, you might have issues with actually fitting the nibs on it. I went through a lot of pain to make it right, so don't modify that unless your printing settings and your resin that you're using and the curing times will give you a slightly different shape, and in that case you'll probably have to modify it. Anywho, so feel free to check it out, feel free to use it as you see fit. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll come back when I have more updates, especially once I get the sack for this, and hopefully I get at least the cap done for this one, whenever that's gonna be. Thank you for joining me, and I hope I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.